Hi, welcome to Planetary Calendar Astrology. I'm Ralph Demetrius, and this is Lonnie Demetrius. We're doing the forecast for April. We're going to do it in a series of weeks. So we're going to look at the overall view of the month. What did we actually write about it a year and a half ago when we were forecasting this? The first 7 days of the month are filled with aspects, including Mercury turning direct on the 7th. So Mercury is moving slowly in the early part of the month, so those kinds of communication issues will take extra time and effort to make them work. Venus turns direct on the 12th. So after that, all the planets are moving forward, so we're going to be entering a time when projects can be moved along very easily. Now, the full moon, which is when on the 12th, is going to align with the star Spica. This is the brightest star in the constellation Virgo. It's a very powerful feminine archetype, so expect women's issues to be highlighted. Before and after the Taurus ingress, there are numerous aspects, so expect those few days right around when the sun goes into Taurus to be stressful. By the new moon on the 27th, there may be a series of teetering on the edge between the past and the future. And when Venus enters Aries on the 30th, there will be a sense of finally moving beyond that. So
let's get going with the first week in April of 2025, which we're going to actually start with the last 2 days of March for a little recap because we want to maintain that Sunday to Saturday format for this forecast. So we had on the 30th of March, we had the moon in Taurus and some squares below the number, a little...
We also had a Neptune entering Aries. Ta-da! This was a big thing.
And a pretty long void of course, at least the morning's worth. So that's something to take note on. Maybe that should have had a gray box or a grayish box.
But I think the Neptune entering Aries, we've talked about this before. This is going to be there for, the next 11, 12 years, something like this. This is a big change.
It is a big deal.
And so we've talked about this in our previous forecast about how to expect that there's going to be changes in how energy is used, changes in how pharmaceuticals are used. We oftentimes think of Neptune as being very mystical, but if you actually look at the planet, it's a powerhouse. It has these incredible storms that go across the surface. It has a heavy, solid core that's the size of Earth. It's a real powerhouse. It's been misinterpreted for many years.
And surprisingly, Neptune has a lot to do with the government. Because where is the government? Can you go visit the government? Can you shake hands with the government? You can't. It's this kind of nebulous idea, and it should be very idealistic if it's working at its best. And so Neptune really has a lot of qualities that really point to the government. So with this change, and I think that the change into Aries is the sign of the people, the individual, So hopefully there'll be a shift in the impetus of the government. And so after you get done with that day that was a little bit turbulent, you've got this wonderful Monday with an unfettered Taurus moon, so you can reward yourself for all the angst that happened the day before. But now we'll get on to April. And the 1st of April has just a lineup of planets above the number. That means they're all making aspects to the moon. So what do we call that day? We call that social. A little bit of void of course. So if you plan to have a lunch between like 11 and 1:30, it may run a little long. You may get distracted about what actually the parameters of a lunch are, but it looks like a nice social day to start off April.
I wonder what's going to happen over the weekend that people are going to want to talk so much with each other. Interesting. We'll have to keep an eye on that one.
Well, everybody is there. I mean, above that number, and this is why we had to drop the parallels, because we've got a sextile Mars, sextile Saturn, conjunct Uranus, sextile Venus, sextile Mercury, sextile Neptune, and trine Pluto. I mean, everyone's there except the kitchen sink, and we don't have an icon for that.
No, we do not. Though maybe we need one.
Right.
Now on the Wednesday, which is the 2nd, the thing that's going on, there's two things. The moon is going to be conjuncting Jupiter, which is always fun, and it goes by because it makes kind of those emotional things bigger. But Gemini is not a very emotional sign. So once again, a lot of conversation. This is going to be a really big conversation week. Wow.
It really is. And it follows my theory that when you're looking at the calendar, you can actually watch the planets moving. Because everything was above the moon on the first, and now we got some of those same players below the moon squaring it, because the moon keeps moving and planets keep moving. And so some of the things that were brought out in your wonderful communications on the first, you might figure out the challenges related to those things, or you might want to be talking now about how to implement that. Remember, squares are things that make things happen, and all those aspects are squares now.
Right, and also realize that on that Wednesday, the sun is going to be sextile the moon, so it's a really easy feeling moon. But it's the sun in Aries, a fire sign, and the moon in Gemini, an air sign, so it's going to be very, very active. So we'll see. Which is funny because it changes the page so quickly. On the Thursday, we have a little black box there because there's so many challenging aspects to the moon. It's Saturn, Venus, Mercury, Neptune. They're all challenging the moon. So it could be a good day to get a lot of stuff done. Don't think you're going to get to coast on Thursday.
And Ralph mentioned it in the annotations above. If you have the calendar and you're following along, there is a void of course moon again in the heart of the day. And when I say the heart of the day, that's heart time. Is from 10 to 12, or when it's daylight time, it's 11 to 1. Yes. So, that heart time, it's a good time for a heart-to-heart talk. Maybe not under the void of course moon, because you want to make sure that each party is understanding and listening.
I certainly hope you have your calendar, because when you look at this, on the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th, there's letters on every single day. As we kind of warned you in the preamble, there's a lot of stuff that's happening very early in the week. On the Friday, the 4th, you have Mars trine Saturn, you have Mars sextile Uranus, and you have Saturn sextile Uranus. So you got Mars, Saturn, and Uranus all tied up in stuff. Ooh, I mean, it could be good, could be bad, but it's going to be very energized. Okay?
Well, and talk about energized, just look at that lineup of aspects on the 4th, Friday the 4th, with the moon in Cancer. Ralph will go into his annotation of the letter C, but, just like on the day before, all the aspects were to the moon. That's denoted by the planets and the aspects being under the number. But there are none above or below the number. These are aspects planet to planet. So these are stronger, longer lasting, because they're not to the moon, which is fleeting because it moves so quickly. And we got Mars Saturn, we got Mars Uranus, we've got Saturn Uranus. These are big disruptors, big activators. So a lot going on.
Expect a radical shift. It's the best way to describe it.
And sun square moon. So.
Yeah. And then on the Saturday, nice day, once again, very, very social. So what's going to be happening on Friday that everyone's going to want to talk about on Saturday? We'll see, won't we? So.
That's for sure. So that's your peek into April. Drop us a note if you have some observations about the questions we asked. You didn't know there was going to be a quiz. And if you haven't gotten your calendar, we have just a few left. Come see us at planetarycalendar.com. Hopefully we'll have the 2026 before too long.
Soon, yes.
The calendar is flying along. And if you haven't subscribed already on YouTube, go to YouTube /Planetary Calendar Astrology. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you get notifications. And let me know if you want us to put you on our reminder list.
And I have to say, in these current events, I think we all need more guidance than usual.
That's true.
So be well and have a wonderful April.